out here at Deer Grove East Preserve, Forest Preserve District of Cook County. This is part of the O'Hara Modernization Mitigation Project, and we wanted to just do a short section here on what drainage tile are and what we're doing out here at Deer Grove East. There's a whole section of drainage tile that got back to the turn of the century that have been pulling the water out of the site, and we're systematically disabling those to restore hydrology. So Tom Huddleston and Fred McBride are our master drainage tile people. Worked on a number of sites for us, are exceptional. And Tom, what we're looking at here on the ground, and so these are drainage tile, but specifically, I guess, for people who don't know, what are drainage tile?
Well, we first of all did a map of the entire forest preserve and located all the existing clay drain tile back when this was an agricultural production. This particular line we're taking out is a lateral of about 1,000 feet long. It runs into a depressionary area back that you see in the background, and laterals are laid into that system. So the drain tiles are actually installed at about a depth of 3 to 4 feet. This section was installed by hand, we think about 1920 or prior. The drain tiles were actually laid in the bottom of the ditch, and they're butted up end to end, such as this, and they're slightly gauged with a crack in between. And so what happens is the water actually finds itself within these cracks, falls into the drain tile, which is constructed on a grade, and then the water is conveyed to an off-site outfall. These clay drain tile were handmade. Like I said, they were also hand laid as well.
Now these are clay, but these would have been formed by hand, and then are they fired in an oven?
Well, these tiles were made prior to 1920. They were actually built around a mold, and the mold then extrudes a long tube of clay, and then the tiles actually cut in 1-foot sections. That's why you'll find in this vintage, you'll find drain tile anywhere from 11.5 to 12.5 to 13 inches in length. They're all typically at 1-foot sections. So.
Okay, and they vary the interior diameter, which is part of how much water they can carry, varied from what? How about small on the low end to the high end? What sizes did they manufacture and put in?
Well, it's interesting. In the early days, they made 2s, 3s, and 6s, and then about 1950, they made 2s, 3s, 5s, 6s, 8s, 10s, 12s. We usually find drain tile up to about 36 inches for like a regional or a district main line.
And the reason, because this is a monumental task to put all these in by hand, literally miles and miles and miles. Why did tile serve what purpose for the farm owners?
Well, what it does actually is it controls groundwater. When the drain tile goes in, it's backfilled with soil. But what happens over time is that the soil starts to reorganize itself, and fissures and capillaries through the soil section start to form down into these cracks and start to carry water. So the longer the drain tile's in, the more efficient these fissures become. So after a number of years, the drain tiles actually become a functional part of the hydrology in that soil group.
Now, at what point in history, because now in farm use for a long time, they use black plastic instead of clay. About when did black plastic become the state of the art for drainage?
It was about in the 70s when we started to use plastic. It was hard to get farmers to transfer from clay to plastic. Today we typically lay all plastic. We hardly ever lay clay.
Other sites that the Forest Preserve District we've partnered on where Tom has done this type of work include the Bartell-Tinley Grassland site in South Cook County, Bergman Slough Preserve in the Palos area. There's also sites at McMahon Woods and Fen and Sag Valley that Tom has looked, but there were no drain tile that we could find. But there's a number of sites that we've partnered with the FPD on to do this type of restore water to the land, keep water high in the watershed on the site. And if people have a chance, Deer Grove East is a beautiful site. The Forest Preserve is very proud of it, and rightfully so. And we have people come out and see what this good work is. So, any questions? We said what they are, how they are, they're put in. We're seeing people would use spacers to determine how water would move. Another thing, Tom, does water move in? How does water move into these tiles? I think people do it just all goes through the top, but actually most of the water on the tile moves in through the side and in the bottom of these openings?
That's correct. The fissures all form down into the cracks. And as you can see, the tiles are slightly irregular, so the cracks are not so tight that the water channels cannot form to